Again, the United Nations Population Fund says millions of women will be subjected to female genital mutilation. The practice is common in sub-Saharan Africa and in some Arab countries, but it's also practiced in parts of Asia and Eastern Europe. Now, the UN body is also concerned about forced child marriages. United Population Fund representative in South Africa, Beatrice Mutali, joining us now to talk about this. Beatrice, a very good morning to you, and thanks so much for your time. And yes, I mean, it is absolutely horrifying if we have to think about what these millions of women and children have gone through and are going through as we speak. I think just a quick reminder, for those of us who are so caught up in COVID-19 about what the plight of these women and children has been when it comes to harmful practices against women and girls. What are they going through? What are they subjected to?
First of all, thank you for having me. And yes, when you talk of women and girls and what they go through a lot. As we launch our State of the World Population Report 2020, the focus of this report is really on the harmful practices that women and girls continue to face worldwide. And they range from female genital mutilation, child marriage, son preference. There are many. The report actually highlights 19 different harmful practices that women and girls go through. However, the report in itself really pulls out three of what the report identifies as the stubborn harmful practices, which are female genital mutilation, child marriage, and son preference, because these are the ones that have continued to be really prevalent globally. And in terms of prevalence, when you talk of female genital mutilation, there are millions of girls who go through this annually in many countries. Some of them with full knowledge of their parents, of their families, of their communities, and of their friends. Many girls are mutilated at soon after childbirth or in their teenage. And all of it is really what this report highlights is really aimed at really curtailing the sexuality of the girls. And many of them, during the lockdown phase, we have seen, although we don't have concrete figures yet, but we have seen a heightened increase in the number of cases. And it is estimated that during the lockdown phase, as a result of the lockdown phase, we are going to see globally at least 4 million girls going through female genital mutilation. And
Beatrice, why would we attribute that to the lockdown phase? Because one would imagine that, with COVID-19, if enough awareness was out there, that, with isolating or people being, sticking to themselves, basically, that you wouldn't see, for example, practices like that sort of booming at the moment. You wouldn't see child marriages taking place as well because of the restrictions that have been placed around the movement of people. So why would it be that we're seeing the increase in these?
We are able to see, we're seeing the increase because the lockdown in itself is enabling. These are practices that, while governments have enacted laws, many governments have enacted laws that go against female genital mutilation, that go against child marriage. But sometimes laws in themselves end up ensuring that all these become hidden. And with the lockdown, what's happening is that then becomes an enabling factor because the FGM can continue in the closed houses without government getting to know what is happening. So it actually has become an enabling factor. And when it comes to child marriage, given that girls are now locked down in their houses, parents who would like to marry off their young girls, it becomes now very easy for them to link up with families that they want these girls to be married into and send those girls off to get married.
So
the schools won't.
So COVID-19, sorry, Beatrice, so COVID-19 has impacted efforts to stop these practices, has prevented people from going to educate these communities, trying to stop these practices. So what do you see as the worst case scenario now if we continue? COVID-19 is here to stay for a long time. What do you see as what's going to happen in a couple of months and years if and when we ever come out of this?
Exactly what you said. In addition to the lockdown just facilitating the process, the fact that programs that would have continued to educate communities have been stopped or have been unable to continue during the lockdown phase, that has facilitated or increased the incidence. It is estimated that globally, if we continue in this with the COVID-19 and the restrictions of movement, that we are likely to see at least 4 million girls globally subjected to female genital mutilation. We're also likely to see at least 33,000 girls married off before the age of marriage. So those are the kind of things that we expect to happen as a result of the COVID-19. Apart from that, there's of course the rolling back in terms of progress that has been made in educating communities and moving communities forward. So there's going to be a rolling back, and it means a lot more work will need to go into the whole process, into the behavior change communication that will need to happen to get communities back in to the level that we were in, but also to get us back to our objectives of trying to move towards a point where we get to zero. We were making good progress, but there has been a rollback.
Oh, it's a terrifying picture indeed. Thanks very much, Beatrice Mutali. That is all we have time for at the moment. Yeah, and it's scary if you think about what's happening and what's not happening, what's not being allowed to happen, and people get to these women and girls to save them. Well,